Good morning, everybody. I'm Mary Hanley, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you today. We are going to talk about all things emotions and what's important about having those emotions being um, used in the best way possible. Like sometimes we have such a hard time getting those emotions out, and then sometimes we actually like spew too much emotion, like we get way over the top and we don't really mean to. It's not like we're like want to get all emotional or cry or scream or yell. It's really hard to learn to respond instead of reacting. So we're going to talk about all of those kind of things today, having that fear and that worry, because that's when that fear and worry comes in, that's when you really those emotions really bubble up to the top, and things that you may not have ever was bothering you before, they are bothering you now. Like that fear and worry can bring so much out of a person. So today we're going to talk about how we can alleviate some of those things and to be able to move in a good direction and begin to help our bodies to feel good and to get um, feeling like you again and feel like you can survive and knock that worry out, knock that fear away, and be able to feel great every single day. So I am Mary Hanley. I have been with health and wellness for almost 10 years now. I have I'm certified in functional nutrition. And this is something that years ago, when I first started, right out of high school, when I was going to college, I wanted to do special ed. And halfway through going through that, I was like, oh, I don't know if that's the direction I want to go. I really want to go in nutrition, start taking some different nutrition classes. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I want to do this. But then I decided, okay, I'm gonna get married instead and have a bunch of children. That sounds way more fun. So that's what I did. So I went to school for hair instead and went to cosmetology school and decided to do hair, stay at home. So it's been a crazy ride, and I have 6 kids, a wonderful husband who we have been together since we were 15 years old, so forever. And so, like, lots of life happenings between that point to now. But nutrition has always been one of those things that was just always so important to me. And it got to be more important once I had children, because I have 4 out of the 6 that have PKU, which means that their liver does not break down all of the simulation of all of the proteins like it's supposed to, and the amino acids that your liver, is supposed to filter, and it's supposed to get all of the bad stuff out of your body, but there's parts of it does not function correctly. So that part, those proteins can't get filtered out. So if those proteins stay in their body, it builds up and it causes brain damage and causes all kinds of problems within our bodies. So they cannot have any meat products at all. They are very, very fortunate. They can eat a little bit of peanut butter. They can have a little bit of eggs. They're not near as extreme as some. They're not the classic PKU, which is really good. And I'm very thankful for that. But we still have to be very careful about their levels and how much feed they get, which is phenylalanine, which is the protein they can't have. So we have to be very careful about the things that they're eating and all of the stuff that's going into their bodies all the time. And then, so that was like, my oldest is 19, and that's when we found out about him. And it was a very scary time because we didn't really know anything about it. I had never, and in my tiny little bits of some nutrition classes I did take and some chemistry classes I took, there was like one little excerpt of PKU. And I remember hearing the word and them saying this big old long word that made no sense. And I remember them just saying, you'll probably never encounter this because it is such a rare thing, metabolic disorder. Like each year that one of my kids was born, they were the only one in the state of Alabama born that year with that particular thing. That's how rare it is. So it's really cool, I guess, because they're like this rare thing. And it's something that we can control, which I'm very, very thankful for. But through that, I realized that there was a lot of things that, for a long time, I was just doing what the doctor said. And this was before I never really realized that when that little inkling of nutrition became that desire for me, I didn't realize I was going to be dealing with so many of these things. But because that wasn't interest, it kind of sparked this desire in me to do more and to learn more and to make other decisions. So I went back to school and got my functional nutrition certification, which means that instead of using different chemicals and different medicines and different things to heal your body and to take care of your body, then you use the food to do what's best for you and to take care of your body. And everybody's bodies are different. So, like, not everybody's going to be the same. Not everybody's going to have the same stuff. Not everybody's going to eat the same. And so that became kind of this, because I thought, okay, why is like a couple of the kids are extreme, a little more extreme than others? Like the way that their bodies utilize different foods are all different. How is this? I mean, like, we're all in one family. Why did this thing happen in 4 of the kids, but not in all of them, which is really cool in and of itself. So as I'm going through this process and I'm learning as they're growing and how to take care of their bodies, there's also a lot of other little things that are coming up throughout their life, and they're sick all the time. Like there was so much, like, it was more like chronic colds and coughs and things like that. Why are we dealing with all of those things all the time? What's causing this? And we were at the doctor's office constantly. And so I wanted to get away from that. And in that process, I had become because I was dealing with them constantly, and not that it was a bad thing, it's just tiring because we were at the doctor all the time. And not only were we at the doctor because of colds and flus and things like that, we were also at the doctor because they had to keep a good check on their levels and make sure that everything was good. Every time they would get a cold, their levels would go up. That's affecting their body and how it's functioning. And if their levels stay up, that's causing more damage to their brain, which is not good either. And you want them to learn as best as they can. You don't want to have problems like that. So all of these things were really wearing on me because it was like this continuous, and all of them were little. They were all very, very small. And so I'm just dragging these kids to the doctor all the time. So that was wearing on me as a mom, as a parent. And I just had gotten to that place where I just could not do anything else. And I didn't know how to do anything else. I was depressed and I was sad, my own body, because I had not taken care of me. And I felt like I needed to do all of the things. Like, I had spent my entire life thinking, okay, I've got to be the one. Like, I wanted my husband to be able to go to work every day. I was able to stay at home. I was very fortunate that he was working and I was able to stay at home. So I needed him to be able to go to work every day. Like, you just go to work and do the job. Let me do all of the things. And like, I literally was doing everything else so that I didn't have to ask for his help. And it's not always a very good thing, because when you've got a pile of kids and you're trying to keep them all fed and you're trying to keep them all functioning and working and doing like life, it can wear on you as a mom, and you need help and you got to have help. And I had like grandparents that were helping and people doing what they could do when they could do it. But it's still just wearing on the body. It's wearing on your mind, and it's just so exhausting. So I was spending a lot of time just thinking, oh my goodness, like I've got to do this one more thing. I've got to do this one more thing. I was homeschooling too, which, so that meant that I was literally with the kids 24/7, and, which was great. And I was so very thankful to be able to do that. But at the same time, there again, it's just wearing on you as a mom. So over time, my body began to just totally break down. It was totally saying, no, I'm done. I can't do another thing. I'm going to stop. So by the time I had baby number 5, I was at the point of like completely breaking the breaking point. Like, I couldn't do anything else. And I like literally would sit in the floor and just cry because I thought, I need to be alive to take care of these kids. I need to see this baby grow up and like keep him alive. Like, I need to help these people survive. And I didn't really know what to do. And I couldn't get out of the floor. Like, I sit there and just long to get out of the floor. I hurt so bad. Like, every part of my body ached. My legs, my feet, like to stand on my feet sometimes hurt so bad I could not even stand up. And I would just sit and I would just say, come here, bring the baby to me, come here to me because like I literally cannot walk right now. And so I would just sit and cry and try to do school and try to do the things. And but then I was going out, we were going and doing the things and having to try to still put a smile on my face. And nobody knew I was going through these things because I was trying to just cover it all up and just hi, smile and wave, smile and wave. And that was just all I could do. And so you don't ever know, like, side note, when we hear this so much, but then do we ever really let that just really sink in? Like, we know that when people are smiling, just because they're smiling does not mean that their life is great. Just because they're walking around and their kids aren't naked, like, that does not mean that they're okay. And so, like, really being able to be aware of our friends and paying attention to the things of them. And I had a friend like that. I had a friend that was so, so wonderful. And she realized that I was at that breaking point and I just could not go anymore. And so she began to help me to see some of the things that was going on in my body that I was not even paying attention to. And she became that help for me. And so I ended up going to the doctor and I ended up finding out that I had celiac. So, which was causing a lot of the pain and the aches and the things like that because my gut was so screwed up. So in that process, that learning process is when I decided, okay, I've got to learn more. And that's when I went back to school, did my certification and began to really learn more about helping other people that are in this same place. And through many, many events, and through the last 3 years of really stopping and paying attention to what our bodies need and what my body needed, and really stopping, I began to learn why I was depressed so bad. I learned why people's bodies do get to that place and what we can do to change that and to move us into a different direction. And I was able to come out of this depression and heal my body and heal my gut and to heal all of these hurts and all of these things and these emotions that I had been holding onto that I didn't even realize was there. But I was able to learn how to do that through tons and tons of coaching and through school and through so many different things. I've been able to learn so much. So this is why I have started Elevate. This is why we're here, this place. The last 10 years I've been very much involved in holistic health and wellness and taking care of our bodies naturally. But then now it's something that so many people need. And this is not like everything else. Like, it's not all controlled with our food necessarily, because sometimes we have to take care of our inside before we can take care of the outside. And sometimes, like, food is that outside force. Sometimes, and that was where I was in the beginning. I thought, okay, that outside is that food. If I control the food, then I will feel better. But it's not always about the food. It's not always about where food, yes, we have to do the things, like we do need to take care of ourselves, and we want to keep, things to a minimum, like chemicals and all of the, not eating a bunch of junk. But we also, before we can get to that point, we've got to take care of the inside of our body first and heal the hurts and heal the emotions and learn how to think and how to be clear on us and like how to take care of us before we can go take care of anybody else and before we can allow those outside forces in, like taking the food on as a responsibility. So my job now is, let's work on the inside and then we work our way out. We get to the food later. So, like, whether you're losing weight or you're doing whatever, like, we're working on the inside out, not from the outside in. All of these outside things are just covers. It's just like medication. You take a medicine and then the doctor says, okay, well, you're going to have this medicine too, because that other medicine is causing an issue for your body. When my oldest, she has epilepsy. And so when she was little, she was on like 7 different medicines. But some of the medicine, some of it was strictly for the epilepsy and for the seizures. But then some of it was because she's got to take this medicine because that medicine she's on for the epilepsy is causing this problem to her kidneys. This medicine is causing another interactive thingy, whatever. And so she's got to take this medicine. So like I mean, like they were just pouring medicine into the poor child like crazy. And she's just like can't even function. She was already struggling with the seizures, much less struggling with all of this other outside stuff. And so when we are in that place, it's hard for us to think. It's hard for us to get outside of ourselves and outside of our brain a little bit and to even think clearly. Our perception is off. Our everything that we're doing, our will to survive and our will to keep going is off. So we have to take hold of all of the emotions and be able to bring ourselves out of that and move forward. So that is what we're going to talk about today. The first little piece of being able to start taking care of our health and taking care of our body and taking control of our world back and to be able to live our life by design and not by default. It's so easy to get into the habit of just doing the things and you're just going through life and you're just taking care of the kids and you're just doing the stuff. And it's really easy to get into that habit of just taking care of everybody else instead of taking care of us. So as we are learning, as we're going through the process of learning to take care of us, then we can help take care of other people. And that's one thing I have learned so much because I could not really truly take care of the kids and give them what they needed when I was in a sick, depleted place. When I'm sitting crying all day long, that's not giving them what they need. And so I had to learn to take care of me. And it's just like the oxygen mask, on an airplane. If that mask drops down, they say put it on you first, and then you help the person next to you. Because if you can't take care of you first, if you're passed out, you can't take care of anybody else. You have to take care of you first, then you can help assist other people. And that's where we are. This is what we're going to learn today. Take care of you, and then we can begin to take care of all of the other things and all of the other people. But it becomes this beautiful rotation where it just flows. And it becomes so much easier to be able to take care of all of the things and to do all of the things every day. So we're going to start first by talking about something extremely simple. All of these things that I'm going to talk about today, you're going to be like, that is so simple. Like, that's really like stupid simple. But it's not always easy to do because a lot of times we'll start off pretty good. We'll do something for 2 or 3 days and then kind of slack off. We'll skip a day or, whatever. And, oh, this got busy. I'll do it tomorrow. And so we begin to not do the things. And so it becomes hard. Like, even though it's a simple concept, it's also not always easy to implement because you have to learn to be disciplined. And that's my new word for this year is disciplined. And that's, it's not a fun word. I don't like that word necessarily because that means you're, going to be a little more strict about the things that you're doing. And it does not mean that you're going to be rigid and like over the top and like, but you are going to be more mindful of the decisions you're making throughout the day. You're going to be paying attention more to, okay, I need to do XYZ. I want to do ABC. But what is my need? What is the need that I need to do today? Like for me, trying to get school done sometimes becomes like this daunting task because kids have to learn. Oh my goodness, we got to read and we got to write. And so like it gets a little overwhelming at times because, now I'm down to 4, teaching 4 at one time, which is super simple. But at the same time, it's hard because at some point you have to stop doing what you want to do to go do the thing that needs to be done. So learning to be disciplined in the actions that you take every single day. That doesn't mean that you're rigid because I'm not, even though I'm disciplined at doing the things, I'm also not like, okay, at 7:10, I'm going to get up and do blah, blah, blah. And at 8:15, we're going to blah, blah, blah. I am not like that. And sometimes I would really like to be that way because I know my time would be better utilized, but I am not there. And I don't really want to get there. Like, I don't want to be that person, but I do want to be disciplined in the actions I take every day and know that when I say, okay, I need this thing done today, doesn't matter what time it gets done, as long as it gets done. Like, we may still be doing school at 8 o'clock because we had something else to do early in the morning, like we're doing school at all kinds of weird hours. I mean, I have one that loves math. It's like Sunday afternoon. He's like, I'm bored. I think I'm going to go do math. And I'm like, okay, you're like really weird. So, you kind of, but when they start seeing the fun in the learning and they feel the joy of it, then they start acting out. Like, for him, it's not school. That's just something fun to do. And it becomes that joy instead of it becoming a drudgery. And so that's where I've had to get with a lot of things. I get to do school with the kids. I get to be at home with them and I get to spend time with my kids all day long. I get to go with them to their activities. I get to sit down and do, make the grocery list because thankfully I have money to buy the groceries with. You put your mind in a whole different perspective. And instead of looking at everything from the outside in, we're looking from the inside and we're finding the joy and the gratefulness in that activity, whatever that activity is. So that brings us to what we're going to talk about today. Now, a lot of times we spend so much time being really, really negative. And I realized one day I was sitting thinking about all of these things and really trying to plan our Elevate program and trying to get down to the nitty gritty. Like, what is it that people need? What is it that we do on a daily basis? So many times we are thinking about the negative of what's got to happen that day and not looking at, from a different perspective. And I think that's where things get really bad for our minds sometimes because we are looking at it from such a negative place. Like, I have got to go to work today. I've got this meeting and that meeting, and I have to talk to so and so today. Oh, great, but I don't want to talk to so and so. And so we get into that mode, and it's easy. It's so easy to get in that mode. And then you go to work, and so is talking about this other so and it just gets worse, and it gets more negative, and it gets more pulled down, and we just can't get ourselves out of that place. So I want to share with you a simple thing that whenever your mind is going to this negative place, oh goodness, and I forgot to grab my, okay. I had it sitting here and I think I forgot it somewhere. Okay. We'll find something to make it work. But when you are sitting at work and you are in that motion of feeling so overwhelmed and you know that you've got so many things going on around you that you just can't see straight, I want you to stop and think. I want you to just literally stop what you're doing, and I want you to make, I'm just going to draw it because I can't. It was a very cute little, already done for you little drawing, but you can draw it yourself. It's so simple. It's mindless, but we think in pictures. Our minds think in pictures. Everything we do is a picture. So everything has to be I'm sorry, I can't write and talk at the same time. I'm just not that that brained. I don't know what you call that. Okay. So everything that we do is pictures. If we are talking about anything, like if I say, what color car do you have? You're naturally going to say, I have a white car. It has gray interior. Your mind is going to the picture of that car. If you are thinking about your refrigerator, What color is your refrigerator? It's creamy colored. So, and it's got, metal handles or whatever, or whatever that aluminum. Or what is that? I don't know. Metal, I guess. You've got all these pictures. Like you can see it, even if you can't say the words. Like what it looks like. Because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the picture of whatever it is. So that's the way our brains work. If we don't know anything, if we don't know, like when we're talking about math, we don't understand algebra because we can't see the picture in our head of whatever that's talking about. But once somebody explains it to you, once you get the picture in your mind, then you are able to bring that picture to your head and then work that problem. Like if you see the equation written out, then every time you see that equation, you're going to know how to work the problem because you've seen it so many times. If I said, I have a car, that tells you nothing. You can't see the car in your mind. Now, if I told you that I have a F-150 or F-350 Transit van, then you see this big, huge monstrosity. You see that in your mind. You know what that looks like because now you know what that particular car looks like. Until you see the picture, nothing makes sense. Our same thing goes on in our head. So like when we're thinking about emotions, we can't see emotions. We can't see our feelings. We can't see what's going on inside of our body. We really don't. Our mind is motion. It's not really a thing necessarily like we think about our mind being in our head and we think about our brain. Our brain is in our head, but our mind is not there. Like our mind is everywhere. Like it's energy flowing all through everything, everywhere. So we're not subject to, like, we can't really see the mind, but our mind is always working. Our brain is doing a lot of all the reactions and all of the things making our body move and all of that kind of stuff. But when we're talking about thinking, like physically thinking and having the higher faculties of our brain or of our mind, then that part of us is not necessarily in our head. But that's what we associate it with. So I'm going to share a picture with you that will help you to see that picture. So every time you're in a place where you just feel like you cannot keep moving and you can't move forward and like you're in a stuck place, or you're getting afraid, or you're overwhelmed, or you're worried, like this works with every single thing that could ever go on in your life. And I'm telling you, really, really works. Like when you're worried and when you're afraid and when you're, and you can't see outside of yourself. Like with our emotions, everything is bottled up in one spot. And we get so programmed into really thinking that we are nervous or we're afraid or that something's really bad. And we perceive it to be bad. We perceive that everything around us is just horrible. Because that's what the news wants us to think, is that the world's falling apart and that everything is really bad. And yes, there's a lot of really bad things going on, but our perception does not have to be that everything is bad. We don't have to believe that, and we don't have to live in that worry, because at the end of the day, what can we really do about all of the things other than just keep praying? So our worry is not going to make more money bounce into the bank account because we're worrying about something. It's our being afraid of something is not going to make something else happen better because we're afraid. Being afraid does not bring about any good action whatsoever. We can't live in creativity when we're in that afraid place. So this is my little head. Try to see if I can. Now, I show this all the time because this is like the most wonderful thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I think everybody in the entire world needs to see this and needs to understand how our brain works and why this is so important. So everything, like these little lines up at the top, this is like all of our senses, our seeing, tasting, touching, all of those are our senses. Like all of the things come through that. That doesn't mean we're thinking just because we see something, just because we hear something, just because we can touch something or we can taste something. That is not really thinking. That's not what our mind is doing. It's not thinking because it can see, taste, touch, and feel or eat something. So, but all the things come in here. So, like if we see something from the news, if we see something, hear something that was really horrible that causes us to be afraid, all of those things are coming into our mind. And when that comes in, it goes to this conscious part of our brain right here. That's our top part. So, like whenever I see this, I think about my conscious being my top part of my head, even though it's not. It gives you a good visual so you can think about these things. Watch this video over and over and over again. Like repetition brings awareness, and we need to be more aware. And every time you listen to something, you become a little bit more aware and you begin to learn more and you begin to soak up more of what you heard the last time. Like this time, you may only hear pieces, and then the next time, because you only retain like 10% of whatever you hear. So next time you'll retain a little bit more, and the next time you'll retain a little bit more. So you need to listen to it over and over and over again until it really makes sense and you understand what this is really doing. Because, like I said, this is simple. Like it looks so easy, and you think that's almost stupid, and people think it's funny, but it is like the most mind blowing concept ever when you finally understand it and it begins to make sense to you. And when you start actually seeing that little person in your head when you're going throughout your day and something pops up and you're like, I'm so scared about this thing, or I'm worried about this thing, or man, I feel so overwhelmed. You can stop and take a minute and do this, and it will change your entire perspective and your entire day. So everything's coming in, it goes into your conscious mind right here. Now, your conscious mind has the ability to accept something or reject it. You have a choice. Now, so many times we feel like we don't have a choice about our life. We feel like we're stuck in this job. I'll never get to stay at home with the kids. I can't do this thing. There's no way this is going to happen. And we get ourselves stuck in that place because that's what we have been told over and over. Being in school, teachers will tell your kids, like your kids need to know this. Your kids need to understand this. You need to do this with your kids. I did this with my kids. You need to understand that you have a choice. Your mind is so amazing. God didn't put us here and give us these stupid minds. He did not. God gave us a beautiful, perfect mind, and it's stronger and it's better than any computer out there. You can know and learn so much, but we allow ourselves to be told that we're stupid, or that we're not good enough, or that we can't do something. And so all of that's going into this conscious mind. So we have the ability to reject that thought. If somebody's telling you that you're stupid, or that you're never going to learn enough to go to college, or you just need to go to trade school, or you know what, you need to stay at home. Yeah, I think that's a better place for you. Yeah. No, do not listen to them. You have the choice to reject that. Now, if you don't do anything with it, if say your teacher says, or your boss or somebody tells you you're just not cut out to do this job and you're just terrible and you're horrible at your job, if they tell you that, at that moment, you have a choice. You have a choice to say, yeah, okay, I think that's right. I think, yeah, I am stupid. I didn't do that right. I see what they're saying. I messed up on that thing. Okay, yeah, I'm stupid. So then you keep thinking that. So I'm just stupid. I'm just stupid. I'm just stupid. So you put that into your brain. That, once you've made that choice, you've put that into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind only knows what you tell it. It cannot tell fact from fiction. It just is being thrown all the things. And once you internalize it, once you've told it over and over and over again, the same thing over and over and over again, it believes you and it becomes part of you. So if you've told yourself over and over and over, because boss man over here says that I don't know my job, and I've told myself this 50,000 times, well, then I must not know my job. And so therefore, I'm going to continue to not do well on my job. Or you've told yourself, I am so overwhelmed. I am so overwhelmed. The kids are driving me insane. I can't get all the clothes done. The car's messed up again. Like all the things, all that stuff. Those things may be true. Like you may not really be getting all the clothes done, and you may be having a hard time with the vehicle, or the kids may be actually out of control. All those things may possibly be true. They may actually be happening. But when you internalize that and you put it into that subconscious part of your brain accepts that as truth. And so it don't try to do anything different. It don't try to think anything different. You have now put it all on the side of fear. This is the negative side. There is energy everywhere. Energy is all around us. Like there is energy in everything, every person. Energy is everywhere. So you've put that energy into your body and you're projecting it out there through the things that you say, through the things that you think. That is energy. Your words are energy. There is two sides to everything. We know this. There is a front and a back to a book. There is a up and a down. There is a front and a back. There's like all the things. There's two things to everything, two sides to every coin. And we hear that statement all the time, two sides to every coin. There's also a positive and a negative to everything. So when you are projecting out all of the negative, that's all you're going to see. That's all that's ever going to be in front of you is all of the negative. It's just going to continue to pile. It's going to continue to get bigger and it's going to continue to overflow because that's all you see. So everything is put onto the side of fear and negativity. You can't do anything on that side because the more negative you are, then you're just continuing to live in fear. You're continuing to live in overwhelm. Everything just piles up and you begin to get more and more distressed and more depressed and you get more disease. Everything gets worse because then you're holding all of these emotions in your body. All of that negative energy is being held everywhere throughout your body. You're not able to get it out because you're holding on to all of it. When all the things are coming into our conscious mind, when we're sitting here and it's like in this little place right here, we have the choice to say, okay, I'm going to accept that this thing is happening and it's really bad. And I'm going to accept that it's bad because that's what you're doing when you put things on the side of fear and on the side of negativity. That's what you're doing. You're accepting that it's going to be bad. It's going to stay bad. But what if you took the side of faith? What if you decided that faith was the end that you were going to put it on? That you weren't going to accept the negative that was coming into your life. You're not going to accept all of the, yes, the clothes are horrible. Yes, having a car not run is bad. But you, like I said earlier, you can't, there's no creativity on the side of fear because all you can see is the fear. Like that's when you're immobilized. You're sitting. You can't do anything. You're paralyzed in that fear because that's where Satan wants you to be. He wants you to be paralyzed. So he's going to like bring on the fear, set it in your lap. It's like this big, huge weight laying on you so you can't move and you're just sitting here. But what if before, when all the things come in, okay, the car messed up, there's no money in the bank account. And instead you just said, okay, I know, I understand, like we know reality. The reality is like screaming you in the face. We know this. But what if you just said, okay, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to trust that things are going to work out. Things are going to be fine. Now, I promise you, like I've done this so many times, and I'm not saying that like the minute you say that, that somebody's gonna call and like pay for your car to be fixed or throw money in your bank account. Like that's not how it works. But I do promise you that the more you do that and the more you start trying to look at it from a different perspective, that more ideas become more prevalent to you. And you think, okay, so I don't have money in my bank account right now, but